Greetings, car fanatics. This is my 2010 Porsche 911 Carrera S, and today I'm going to be showing you how to replace the transmission mount stops. This is a uncommon part, but let's take a look at why I want to replace it. So I took the wheels off my car because I'm getting new tires put on, and while I was at it, I decided to check out the condition of the transmission mount. In the process of getting access to the transmission mount, these stops came out, and let's take a look at the original stops. The original stops with 75,000 miles on them and about 14 years of age, it has really deteriorated. The condition is very similar to the rubber that's used for these bump stops for the shocks. I mean, this is so brittle, it just fell apart when I took it out. So we're going to be replacing the transmission mount stops with the OEM ones that I purchased for 20 bucks each online. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to get these, but I'll show you why these actually are important. Alright, let's take a look at the tools you'll need to get the job done. First, having an impact driver is going to be helpful. You need a T25 bit over here, or you can use a screwdriver, but using this with the impact driver is going to make removing the underbody panels much quicker. You need a 10mm socket for some of the underbody panel nuts, a 16mm socket for the transmission mount brackets. You also need an E20 and an E24 socket to remove the transmission mount bolt. You need an extension, you need a couple of 1/2 inch ratchets, and you need a torque wrench. You'll also need to raise the car. Ideally, you would have a lift to get under the car, but in this case, we're going to be working with what we have. We're going to be putting the car on 4 jack stands, so you're going to need 2 jacks, 4 jack stands, some wheel chocks, and a couple of hockey pucks to raise the vehicle without doing any damage to the jack points. To get started, we want to raise the car. If you want to learn how to properly jack up a Porsche 911 on all 4 jack stands, take a look at the description below where I'll leave a link. To get access to the transmission mount, we're going to need to raise the car and remove the underbody panels. You have the rear panel and these 3 middle panels. They're held on primarily by these T25 torque screws, and you have a few nylon nuts. In total, there are about 40 screws and nuts you have to remove, but these underbody panels are straightforward to remove. Drop them out, move them out of the way, and you'll have access to the transmission mount. The transmission mount is connected to the horizontal bracket here, as well as the vertical bracket. We're going to remove the horizontal bracket, which is held on by 4 16mm nuts, 2 on each side, and then of course you need to remove the transmission mount bolt. That's going to allow you to take this unit and drop it out of the way. Then you have the vertical transmission bracket, and you can see it has a 16mm nut over here and another one on the opposite side. We're going to loosen this by taking the nut completely off, and then with the transmission mount bolt, that's going to give you enough room to swivel this out of the way so you can access the transmission mount. Alright, so let's check out our transmission mount. It actually seems to be in pretty good shape for having 75,000 miles on it. There aren't any major cracks or tears or anything like that, so it seems to be in pretty good shape. I was originally thinking about stiffening this up with some inserts or even filling it with some polyurethane, but I'm deciding against that just because I don't want the ride to be too harsh with a stiffened transmission mount. But now that we are here, let's go ahead and replace the transmission mount stops. Okay, so with the upper transmission bracket out of the way over here, what we can do is just slide this in so we see that there's a direction of it going forward. So we place it over here and just move it out of the way a little bit. Then it sits perfectly flush like that. Alright, and let's just repeat the process for the other side. Alright, we got both sides in place. Now it's time to get the transmission brackets back in place. Starting with the horizontal bracket, go ahead and put the 4 16mm nuts back in place. Don't fully tighten it just yet though. Next, move on to the vertical bracket and put the 2 16mm nuts back in place. Now let's go ahead and raise the transmission back up into position so we can put the transmission mount bolt all the way through. Alright, so you want to make sure you line everything up. That's why it's important to have these brackets a little loose. You want to drive this transmission bolt screw through, and then after that you can cinch everything up. With the transmission mount bolt all the way through, let's go ahead and tighten up the 16mm nuts all to 48 foot-pounds. Then tighten the transmission mount bolt to 63 foot-pounds.
Alright, car fanatics, so we have everything mounted back up, and you can see how this whole thing works. These stops basically sandwich the transmission with the brackets over here. So if these are bad, you basically don't have anything isolating the transmission from those brackets. That could lead to some rattling and even some sloppiness as this material degrades, and basically it doesn't keep the transmission nice and sandwiched between those brackets. So if you have some miles on your car, definitely take a peek under your car whenever you got to take those covers off, and take a look at the condition of those stops and the transmission mount. And if you want to install some transmission mount inserts, the process is essentially exactly the same.
Alright, once you install the new transmission mount stops, all you have to do is put the underbody panels back on and lower the car back to the ground, and you are all done. Well, thanks for watching, Car Fanatics. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Leave any comments or questions below, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you're notified each time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.